Welcome back to Raceweek Illustrated, and we're joined here trackside at Fairgrounds Speedway Nashville by the one and only Matt Weaver from Popular Speed and SB Nation as well. Matt, what can you say about the All-American 400 this year other than wow?
Typically I'd want to say speechless, but that's not, the good makings for a great television show. And this was one of the better races of the year. It was the All-American 400, and we were treated to a showcase event for the super late models.
Absolutely, and when you see what Chase Elliott did tonight, coming back from starting shotgun on the field, working his way up through traffic, and runs the typical Chase Elliott race, gets down to the end, and all of a sudden, boom, here comes engine number 9. As we got down to the end, what were you thinking you saw Chase just plow through that field?
It was a matter of inevitability. With Chase Elliott, he's going to run, mid-pack, near the front, close enough. And I was on his radio near the end of the race, and with about 30 to go, he asked, do I have enough time to catch the leaders? And he was told, you can't bank on a caution. You've got to go. And when someone tells Chase Elliott, you've got to go, watch out. Before the final caution with 20 laps to go, he had worked his way into the top 5 solidly. And then on the final restart, you give Chase Elliott one good restart, and he's got it, and he brought home the win in the All-American 400.
And the tail of the championship is a two-sided coin. On one side, you have Daniel Hemrick, who plugged along all night, plugged along all season, and comes down and wins the championship by 1 point, and you could just see the emotion when we talked to him afterwards and how much winning this championship meant to him. Even though he didn't win the All-American 400, he came away with the inaugural championship.
Well, I'll tell you, it's one heck of a consolation prize. He's bummed that he didn't win the race. The championship's a big deal, and it's something that he really wanted to achieve this year. But he thought that if he had 10 more laps, he could have caught Chase Elliott. And you start to look at some of the laps that we burned when we had the transponder scoring issue with about 50 laps to go. And Daniel insists that if he could have got half of those back, give him 5 more laps, he would have chased down the 9 and won the race. But yeah, a championship battle, the first ever Southern Super Series, comes down to 1 point. It's a bad deal for Bubba Pollard. He came in leading by 48 points to lose by 1. But just as far as trying to grow this league, to grow this tour, you have a race that, a championship that comes down to the final race, comes down to the final lap. You can't ask for much more than that, and hopefully we can see this thing really take off and grow in the same spirit and the same vein as the old All-Pro Series.
Now let's flip the coin over. You touched on it a little bit, but Bubba Pollard comes into this race. He has to finish 18th or better to win the championship. He is right where he needs to be with 17 laps to go, and going into turn 1, all hell breaks loose, and all of a sudden his championship is over.
I really hate this for Bubba. I talked to him prior to the race, and I really haven't seen Bubba with the kind of glee that I saw in his eyes before this race. He patted me on the back and said, Matt, I've never gone championship racing before. I don't know what to do, but this is cool. And he said it was a big deal to become the first Southern Super Series champion, and he couldn't do it because of what happened going into turn 1. Kyle Benjamin ran into the back of him, and Kyle didn't have a lot of help pushing him from behind. It was just a racing deal where he got into the back of Bubba, sent Pollard hard into the wall, and he goes from having a solid 50-point championship lead to trailing by 1, and Hemrick was chasing down Chase Elliott for the lead, and he wins the championship.
After the issues that befell this race last year, and without going into too much detail, I think everybody in the short track racing scene knows what happened at the All-American last year. Did this race redeem, and will this overshadow the troubles? Is the All-American 400 on the track it needs to be to get back to where it was in the glory days?
We're heading in the right direction. I think having this race co-sanctioned by the Southern Super Series and CRA ARCA Super Series kind of created a bit of a conflict in a lot of different ways. Not everyone was on the same page. There were 2 different officiating crews, 2 different tech crews, and there was a lot of misdirection. And so if you look where the race was last year with the Pro All-Star Series, they gave it their best shot. They promoted their tails off to make sure that this race was seen as a big deal, and they had some bad luck with the rain. But you had the Southern Super Supers come in, the CRA, and they got the same promotional help from the Formosas here at Fairgrounds Speedway Nashville. And you can really start to see where this track and this race is making great traction to make ground. And it truly is right up there with Winchester and the Snowball Derby and the World Crown as being, the Grand Slam Big Four races in super late model racing. It raced like it felt like it looked like it, and hopefully in the years to come it can only grow, because let's face it, guys, short track racing is the most fun you're going to have. We need to get this on TV. We need to get this in press. We need to get this on websites, and races like this will certainly help achieve the goal of getting the racing where it needs to be as far as public viability.
And let's have to give a tip of the hat again to the Formosas. Both times we've been up here, they have promoted the snot out of these events, and both times we have had huge crowds in the grandstands. You just can't say enough about the job that they've done here this year.
There are certain people in power down at Daytona Beach, Florida, that says short track racing is dead, and that if fans wanted short track racing, they would show up to the tracks. They would watch it on TV. Well, judging from this race right here in Nashville, short track racing is alive and well. And if you give it the proper promotion, if you give it the proper attention and marketing, the fans will come if they know it's there. And short track racing is coming back, and it starts with the Southern Super Series in Fairgrounds Speedway Nashville. We'll call it a renaissance.
You and I started out the Southern Super Series back here in April. We talked after the race about the direction we thought the series was going to go and what we might see here as we got to the end of the season. What are your thoughts now as we take a look in hindsight at 2013, the first Southern Super Series season?
Is it 2014 yet? I want to do this all over again. I'm really excited to see where this series can go in the next few years, because it's everything we thought it would be. It brought tour, short track late model racing back to the Southeast, an area that desperately wanted to see a champion from various tracks and various different promotions come together and crown one Southern champion, and we got it. We got, I think, a real good 13 races, and you could make the case that there were some shenanigans that happened in this race, but the best guy won the race, and he's going on to the Truck Series next season. So certainly there are a lot of people that think that Daniel Hemrick and the Southern Super Series is a training ground for the next level.
The man, the myth, the legend, Matt Weaver from Popular Speed and SB Nation. Matt, as always thank you so much. Been a great year, and we're looking forward to the snowball.
I can't wait.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Folks, that's going to do it for us this week here on Raceweek Illustrated. Remember, for the latest news from around the world of motorsports, you can visit us online at raceweekillustrated.com. You can follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on Twitter. Until next time, I'm Brandon Reed. This is Raceweek Illustrated, and we'll see you at the races.